Today we are going to talk about how to start a screen printing business at home on a budget. I had a special request for someone that had questions about what equipment can I fit in my garage or a small space. So stick around and we're going to dive right into this topic. What is going on? Matt with Mikey Designs here. Got Shannon the shop gnome over on the other side of the room. She's going to chime in. We're going to read some of your comments as well. And we're going to talk about how to start a screen printing business or a t-shirt business in your home, in the garage, or whatever small space you're working with. Perhaps you're in an apartment or you just have a room in your house that you could use to start this business. Isn't that right, Shannon?
Whee!
So I'm going to go over to my desktop. I prepared a little bit of a presentation. I'm just going to kind of walk you through how I went about doing it and some very affordable options, in which we'll leave a link down in the description for these different packages. And these are very affordable things, and we'll dive into the quality of them and other brands and whatnot, what to look out for. So I'm going to switch over to my desktop capture here. All right, so we're going to talk about how to start a t-shirt business at home. Yes, Shannon. What are you looking for? Oh, so we're going to talk about how to start a t-shirt business at home. And let's just go ahead and dive into some of the things that you will need to get this going and off the ground. And unfortunately, there are some back-end things that you will need in order to essentially get the cost of your overhead and your materials and all that stuff. So the first thing I recommend doing is getting a DBA, doing business as. It might be called something different in whatever state you're in or whatever part of the country or world. For here in Texas, they have what's called a DBA. It's like 16, 17 bucks. You'd go down to, you can do it online or you can go down to the county clerk. I prefer to do it in person, so that way I get that certificate right then and there. And then with that DBA, what it will allow you to do is get a resale certificate, number 2 here. And that's going to be really important for getting wholesale blanks and not getting taxed for all of your supplies that you're going to order. You don't want to be taxed for that. The person receiving the shirts, they're going to be the person that would end up paying taxes. And then with that DBA, you'll be able to open your bank account, file all your taxes under your business name. And then we'll talk about online pay and invoicing. There's a solution that we like, which is not paid, and Shannon can help with this. And then vendors. With your resale certificate, you're going to be able to line up your t-shirt vendors, your supplies for your inks, your screens, your squeegees, all that stuff. You can get all that tax-free. And then we're going to dive in to the equipment and supplies that you need in order to get started. And chime in on the chat. I know there's a lot of you that this is an entry-level kind of rundown. So if there's anything I'm missing, feel free to leave a comment in the chat, and we'll come around every few minutes just to see what everybody's saying. So a DBA, what is it? Where can I get one? Is it necessary? It's basically a way of establishing yourself as a business. You're not just doing business as your name, which you can, but you need a DBA to do business, to be able to get that tax sale resale certificate. Again, you can go online or you can go to your county clerk's office to get one. And it is necessary in order to get your supplies, your shirts, your blanks, your supplies, and all that tax-free. All right. So the next thing, your resale certificate, as I had mentioned, you'll need that to sign up to places. And I have some logos down here. Some of the vendors that we like to use a lot: TSC Apparel, S&S Activewear. Shannon really likes S&S. I do too. I
They
think
don't
they're
short as much.
that's true. Their prices are really good. And then one of the vendors that we do like to use here in town, GSG Graphic Solutions. There might be, if you're in America, there might be uh, one near you, but there's a lot of those places where you'll need that resale certificate in order to do business with them to get supplies. All right, moving on. Bank account, obviously, you're going to need that to accept payments, checks, cash, and the moving on to the next. I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. The next thing is a way to invoice or accept payments online. One way that we have in the past and to this day have been accepting payments, credit cards. So we got a little card swiper and all that. We like to use PayPal, and that's just because initially PayPal has a pretty good little system where you can actually create an estimate, you can create an invoice and enter, you can itemize things, how many shirts you're printing at what price, whether it's taxed and all that, and you can have all their your client's information in there, and it will list things down, all the invoices that you have going on, any unpaid invoices and whatnot. So that's something worth checking out, PayPal, and that's not a paid promotion or anything like that. We just prefer to use PayPal. Bam. So here we are. The big question was, what can I fit in my garage? What's kind of some starter things? And these are all just kind of generic brand presses and all that. You can choose, depending on your budget, you can choose whatever it is you want to choose. But I would kind of call this the hobbyist kind of entry level setup, in which you might want to just test the waters, and or you're on a limited budget. And this is pretty much how I started out, with a one color, one station press. So some of the equipment you need are screens. You're going to need some sort of, it's going to be a one color, one station just to do one color designs, or you can get a one color, four station and do multiple color designs. But at this level, I wouldn't recommend it because you are going to be flashing or curing your shirts with the heat gun. And then some of the other supplies you'll need are squeegees, a scoop coater for your emulsion, supplies such as screen tape. And I'm going to dive a little bit more in detail about some of these supplies that you need, emulsion remover and all that. And then obviously ink. You need some sort of ink to print with. Now, a setup like this would probably run you a few $100s. Your screens are going to be about 15 each. Your lamp's going to be about $15. A little press like this, about 100. This little heat gun, which you can use to cure the shirts. You just lift them up off of the pallet and then use your heat gun to get to the appropriate temperature. Your squeegees are anywhere from, depending on the size, anywhere from 10 to 20 something bucks. A scoop coater, 15. Emulsion probably be one of the more expensive pieces of supplies. Depending on how much you get, it can be anywhere from 25 on up to 80 bucks. Again, we'll leave a link down in the description where you can find some of these entry level supplies. And then of course you're going to need ink. Now again, all this would cost you a few $100 to get started. See if it's something you really want to do, or if you want to start your own t-shirt line, this would be a good way to go. This is how I started out and took the profit that I made and just kind of advanced through these stages. And so this, before I move on to the next stage, I'm going to move on to some of the supplies you do need even at this stage, which you're going to need ink, you're going to need emulsion, you're going to need an ink wash. So after you finish printing, you will be able to remove the stencil and uh, let it dry, and then you'll be ready to coat it again. Degreaser is great because you want to make sure that that mesh is degreased, and that way your emulsion can adhere to it without any fish eyes or any problems coming up, pinholes and all that. Dehazer, it might not be something you need immediately, but I would recommend getting some if you got a little bit in the budget for it. And the dehazer, essentially what that does after you're done printing a particular image and you reclaim it, there might be a little bit of a ghosting kind of haze in the screen, and use that to get rid of that or to reduce the amount down. And then you're going to need other things like palette adhesive, which it can be a spray tack or a spreadable palette adhesive. I recommend a spreadable palette adhesive. Screen opener, if you remove the ink out of your screen, you wash it out, you save your screen. Sometimes it can clog up a little bit. Screen opener will open that up, or you might even be on press when some lint gets on the back of your screen and it happens to kind of clog it up a little bit. Screen opener will clear that right up. And then you're going to need assorted things like scrub brushes, spray bottles, palette tape, and then screen tape. Palette tape is basically just a tape that goes over your palette. Because you're going to be using this adhesive, you don't want to ruin your palette, so it kind of leaves a way to remove that adhesive and start over fresh and put more tape down. And then screen tape is the tape off the sections of your screen that aren't coated with the emulsion, where ink can escape and get down to your shirt and just absolutely make a mess. Let me go over to the equipment needed. And even though I'm going over this, I do want to just kind of show you some of the things that you will need. Obviously, you need screens, an exposure unit, a dark room, or some sort of cabinet for your screens to dry in away from the UV lights while the emulsion is drying, or just to store them to prepare for another job. A washout booth is a big one. At the hobby level, you may be able to get away with doing it in your driveway or your bathtub, but you're going to end up making a mess. So I would highly suggest, if you have to make one, to get a washout booth, because that's where you're going to be making all of your mess at. You'll need some sort of water source, whether it's your garden hose from outside, or
Just
maybe
don't dump it in the yard.
don't, yeah, you can get fined pretty bad, and it's not good for the environment either. So you'll need some sort of water source, whether that's a spout in your garage that goes to your washing machine. You could tee it off there. You'll have to figure that out. A power washer, and that's going to be helpful for reclaiming screens. Once you put emulsion remover on the screen, it will start to break down, but the power washer will help kind of get some of the stubborn parts out. And obviously you're going to need a press, a flash dryer. If you're doing multiple colors, you're going to need a way to flash a white base or flash in between colors. And essentially flashing is just kind of tacking the ink up so you can layer more ink down.
Speaking of, if anybody knows, I got a phone call today from somebody that needs to sell a 10-foot 3-panel conveyor dryer for $500, paid $9,000 for it, and I promised I would actually say something if I found somebody. So if anyone's interested in that, I can give you the number to them.
Yeah, and just let us know in the comments if you're interested.
I'll give you the phone number.
Shannon, if you want to put...
I'm not putting his phone number on there.
No, not his phone number. Your email address, perhaps, in the chat.
All right.
Shannon will put her email address into the chat. Speaking of, the next thing's a belt dryer, which someone's got one for sale. That will definitely increase your production. It's not absolutely necessary to begin with, but it will definitely make things more consistent, and you'll be able to produce a higher amount of shirts. You'll be able to get the jobs in and out quicker, and you'll know the quality is there because everything's cured evenly. And then last but not least, a blowout gun. I'm sure I've probably missed something, but a blowout gun, if you happen to get a smudge on your shirt, there's fluid that goes in the blowout gun, and that will remove any mistakes, making it look like you're a pro. I mean, you'll work towards getting to be a pro, but shoot, even us to this day, we use a blowout gun quite often. We use it quite a bit today. So the next, I would say, tier or level would be what I'd call a side hustler. It's someone that kind of does it part time. It's not something they do absolutely full time, and this might be the next step that you save up to from the entry level if you want to pursue this. And again, this is all stuff that will fit in your garage. That first package could probably fit in, and I'm not like selling anything here. What I mean by package is just, you know, the list of supplies and equipment that you need. So here, this will fit in your garage. The first package, you know, it could fit on a desktop, like a desk, literally. It doesn't require a whole lot of room. We'll go back to that. I mean, this press and all this equipment here, you know, you can fit that into a pretty small space. You can probably stuff it in a closet if you want to. Now, the side hustler, you're going to have a little bit more of a little more equipment. You're going to have a bigger exposure unit, a tabletop exposure unit to get better exposures, faster exposure times. It's going to save you a lot of time there. And then a multicolor press, maybe even multi-station. At that point, I just happen to have a picture of a single station 4-color press. You could still do well with that. There's a lot of people that do. And a flash dryer. Again, at this point, you can use the flash dryer to cure your shirts. All you have to do is lift them up off the pallet, set the entire shirt on top of the pallet, put your flash over it, and essentially get it to its final cure temperature of about 320 to 340 degrees. And here we have a washout booth with a power washer. And again, some of the supplies that you need, same supplies really for each of these stages. And as you grow, if you're like, man, I don't have all the color inks, I wouldn't worry about buying every single ink on the face of the planet until the job comes up. So if you don't happen to have a green, you know, buy that green for that job and just get a quart and just kind of check it up to it being an investment into your business.
An investment.
And eventually you'll run out of ink colors to get, and you'll be fully stocked, and then you'll just be keeping up with keeping those inks stocked. And then last but not least, again, this will fit in your garage, and this is what I'd call the full timer. You got your screens, you got a vacuum tabletop exposure unit in which that vacuum tabletop sandwiches the film and the screen between that emulsion. And at this point, you're going to have maybe a 4-color 4-station with the rotary pallets, and or 6-color 6-station press. You'll have your flash dryer to flash your white base, or perhaps the flash in between colors. I would go and check out some of our videos about screen printing wet on wet, because that will help your production times. It'll speed things up. There's no point in flashing between every color, but I mean, there's some people that do, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just takes a little more time, and you should bill accordingly. At this point, you should have a conveyor dryer. Shannon just mentioned someone's got one for sale. There's always the used market to look at, and there's always new. It depends on what your budget is. Most of the stuff that I bought that were the huge expenses, aside from the dryer and the exposure unit and the washout booth, and well, pretty much everything I got new, because I wanted to keep things the same brand at that time. But the press, I did find a good deal on it. So there's just keep an eye out for deals. And then again, your supplies are going to pretty much stay the same. You might get more squeegees, different types of emulsions. You might start working with different size screens, which you know, you'll need larger screens to do sleeves and all that, and your ink supply will continue to grow. Some of the things that, and I'm going to switch back over to our regular view here. And some of the things that I did mention which hopefully, if you're watching this video and you're thinking about starting a t-shirt or a screen printing business, is you will need a computer with some sort of designer software like Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop. We have links down below where you can get like a special discount on those. Corel Draw, if you're good at Corel Draw, that's fine. I personally don't really care for Corel Draw, but that's just my opinion. It's no different than saying
that's how you took it when I said
you need a Macintosh versus a PC. You know, I prefer the Mac format because doing graphic design work, it's always been on a Macintosh, and they just tend to be more reliable, and you don't want to lose work like your artwork that you spent a lot of time on. And you'll need a printer. You'll need a printer to be able to print your film out. That's something else I forgot to put on there. So you'll need transparency film. Again, I'll leave links down in the description. I got to go back and build all these things up. But so you'll need film. You'll need a way to get your image onto a piece of film to expose it. And that's going to be a computer with software and a printer with film loaded into it. Now, I think that about covers it, aside from the last package, I would say. I mean, you're looking at closer to getting into the range of $7,000 to $10,000, but again, over a year's worth of time, or maybe even a couple of years, you can buy each one of these pieces of equipment one by one. Always keep an eye out for secondhand stuff, and depending on what brand you are, it could be more. It could be up to $20,000 for that last one. The mid range, I mean, you're looking at now, if we're to go over back to the little presentation I've got here, all this stuff here, like these are a lot of Amazon items here. I mean, screens, again, they're about 15 a piece. This exposure unit is probably $300 to $400. This press here, about $200. A flash, about $200. And then a washout boot, $300 to $400. So I mean, you're looking at a couple, $2,000 to $3,000 for something like this, and you can make some decent money on the side.
To be fair, we did not have time to look at Craigslist to post things on that.
No, that's way too much. But I mean, for a few $1,000s, you could actually be bringing in a couple, $2,000 or $3,000 worth of extra income just doing it on the side during your spare time. All you need is a handful of good size orders, and then once you step up into something along these lines, I wouldn't necessarily, if you plan on doing it full time, I wouldn't necessarily plan on getting the cheapest equipment you can find. However, there's some pretty cheap stuff out there, but you want to have something that's reliable, because this is your bread and butter and your way of making an income. So do your research and figure out what press, exposure unit, flash, and conveyor dryer are going to suit you and your shop's needs. And again, every one of these will fit into your garage. The full timer, I wouldn't necessarily say that's going to fit inside someone's apartment. You probably will hear back from the management, but in your garage, okay, you could fit all this in there and still have some storage space for other stuff. It'll be tight, but preferably you would need something like a 2-car garage to fit all this stuff in to work comfortably.
We had a 2 garage, but we managed to make it last work with only half of it.
Yeah, I agree. We managed to make it work pretty well for quite a long time. Now let's, Shannon, you want to go over to the chat, see if anybody has any questions? By the way, if you have any questions and you're catching this afterwards, leave us a comment down below. Also subscribe if you're new to the channel. That will help us, help our channel out, so that way we can make videos like these and continue to help you guys out, essentially how to train our competition. All right, I guess I'll go over to the chat.
I'm sorry.
What you coloring over there, Shannon?
I'm drawing a flower, but you made me mess up, and now half of the flower is blue.
Jason.
I was bored, okay?
All right, what's up, Jason? Dope Boy 428, what's up? What's going on? Dennis Stewart, what's up?
Denise,
excuse me. Denise.
Hey, Frankie. Youngsters Clothing. Yo, California love. Houston love. Okay. Corey
H
Evans.
Sound
What's
in the
up?
house.
Let's see what let's we got.
California love.
It's just from the beginning, so mostly everyone's saying hi to everybody.
Yeah. What's up, Rye Beats? Let's see who
Russell,
else we got
yo.
here. Russell Burns. I would change that 50-watt LED to a 50-watt LED floodlight. That's a excellent suggestion. I will say that the flood lamp is $15. So if you're like on like really tight budget, nothing wrong with the floodlight. Just take longer. What were you gonna say, Shannon? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Well, I was gonna say his comment. That's all.
Oh, my bad. You want to go ahead?
Oh no, you seem to have it. I'm gonna go back to my flower. Okay, so Bagware. Yo, Bagware.
What's up, Bagware?
Matthew.
What's up, Matt? I think Matt texted me. He's like, "Hey, what's the
Karen Foster just sent me an email about the dryer. Karen, I don't have a picture for it. I can get you the number for the guy, because I just turned him straight down because we're really not in the market. We can't fit another dryer, and ours is sentimental. It has notes on it.
Yeah, well, we'll send you. We'll link you up with them, so that way you can.
Yeah. Apparently
he's
closing his third shop or something, and he's kind of desperate, apparently, to find somebody. That's why he's doing it for $500, but we just weren't in the market for it.
Dang, that's a pretty good price too.
Yeah, he said he paid $9,000 for it. Brian wants to know if we send our screens out to get remeshed.
Actually, we use GSG here in Houston, and anytime a screen pops, all we have to do is take it to them and exchange it for one that's remeshed, and it's for like a fraction of the price. We use automatic size screens, 23 by 31, and I think it's anywhere from 10 to like $15 for their exchange program. You can get them remeshed, but like all these screens are secondhand screens, and so they haven't exactly been taken care of like I would take care of them. So I'm just.
Speaking of like keeping your
swap 'em out.
screens, though, one thing that we've been having an issue with lately is clients coming to us and being like, "Well, we've already placed an order with you. Do I still need a setup fee?" Yeah,
Screen
there's
fee?
a finite. Well, you told me to start saying. You told me to start saying setup fee.
Yeah, so that way they're not like, "Hey, we already paid the screen
but,
fee."
Like, keep in mind, guys, you're gonna have to find like a very tactful way of saying, "Look, we have a finite amount of screens. We can't just hold yours for like
forever."
For forever. Also, that screen's only be good for X amount of prints in the first place, so you're gonna have to start paying for it. Well, yeah, but still, like, say if it's a 2,000 order, then they come back like a couple months later with another 2,000 order, and they're like, "Why do I still have to pay the screen fees?" Which honestly, I don't really understand, because it's a 2,000 order. You don't really quibble about like the tiny.
You're not even paying a penny per shirt at that point.
But that's something that we've been dealing with a lot. Like, you're gonna have to figure out a nice way to explain to them that no, every time we have to make a screen, it's costing us something. So yeah, you have to pay for that. Anyways, okay.
And my solution, as I was telling Shannon, let's just call a setup fee. $20 per color.
I tried that.
$20 per color. And then they can't be like, "Oh, we already paid for a screen." No, you're paying for us to output the art, separate it if we need to separate it again, whatever the case may be. Generally, we have it stored, but
one thing I do want to look into is like when they ask if they can save the screens, like a fee for that. Like, basically, but it would be way more than like a actual screen fee, just because basically what we'd be doing was we'd have to buy a whole new screen, make the screen, and then hold it and try to figure out where the hell to put it.
I'd say no holding screens. because I mean they can purchase them and take them with them, but the thing is, once you've already used them,
Yeah, well, they
it's
take.
that
Yeah,
much
well,
harder of a
they're not
pain in
the
the
ones that
ass.
they don't yell at you when I'm
You're
the one
not
that has to tell them.
well, you're not the one who has to set the already used screens back up and makes it take
Yeah,
that much
well, I
longer.
get yelled at.
Anyways, chat. Let's go over to chat and see what else is going on
Um,
here.
Corey Evans, what's the best ink to use for a screen print for as screen printing goes? Depends.
I mean, Plastisol, I would say. It's the most user friendly ink.
I thought you were
So
talking like brand or.
type, I would say Plastisol brand. That's going to be up to you to kind of figure out what you like. I tend to use Wheelflex, Union Ink, Rutland, occasionally ICC. So those are some of our go-tos and the type of ink we use. We've never had a water-based job. It's always just been for like the hell of it,
We've
for
had
fun.
like feelers put out for it, but nothing's
We've
ever.
Yeah, we've used water base. Like if that's all I have in the shop and I'm running out of white, and I got some white water base sitting around because of samples, we'll use it. But I don't know. You have to have a forced air conveyor dryer, preferably gas, in order for it to completely cure right. So save yourself a headache and use Plastisol.
All right. Well, the bag is getting some new equipment. I think I skipped where, but it's gonna put about 8,000. My condolences.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
Hey Jimmy. Hey One Shot. Ends says truffs. I don't know what that means.
Troughs? I have no idea either.
Okay. Michael Rios. No, Matt. He looks like he's about to throw up every once in a while. Okay, that goes back to an earlier conversation in there.
That's yeah, completely out of context.
Yeah.
Wade's interested apparently in the conveyor.
Maxing Minecraft. Thoughts on linear presses, so not rotary.
But where's this at?
Here,
Yeah, but
right there.
okay. So a rotary press, I mean, it's going to save you some space. The linear presses, I haven't seen any aside from in videos where you're kind of picking up the screen and going from station to station. I would say the rotary press it's going to be more space friendly for one, and then you're not going to use up as much energy picking those screens up going from station to station.
And you have
I
less
assume
chance
that's
of
what
knocking your girlfriend in the forehead with one.
Yeah, I assume that's what you're talking about, which is fine. A lot of people use that method, and it's not too common here in the States, but overseas it's more so where it seems to be a better method for a shop that has multiple people. But I don't know. I don't have any experience doing that type of screen printing. So I've all been on the rotary presses. So
Alright, youngsters clothing. You should give a ballpark price range for each package.
okay, which I did. So the first
Okay.
one was probably about $500 at the most. The second one, you're looking at probably about $2,000, depending on what brands equipment you get. And then the full time, I would say anywhere from, depending on the equipment, and if you can get secondhand, I mean you're looking at anywhere from 7,000 on up to the mid-teens. Again, depending on the press, brand, exposure unit, whether it's brand new, secondhand, a manual printing press, 6-color, 6-station. Generally will run you around $6,000. A conveyor dryer about 3.5 to 5,000, depending on the size of it. Your washout booth, that's going to stay the same. I mean, about $400 or $500 for that. I'd say the next most expensive piece is probably the exposure unit. You can find something anywhere between 1,000 to, on up to 4,000, depending on what kind of unit you get. Like a LED exposure unit, I mean, you're looking at $2,000 to 2,500, depending on, again, what brand it is and whatnot, the type of exposure unit. And then a flash, I mean, they'll cost you somewhere south of $1,000, depending on the type. If it's a quartz flash, that's expensive. But we're talking about budget stuff here, so secondhand, you can always find them for half that price, if not a third, if not less than that. Kind of like the $500 dryer that they paid $9,000 for. So just keep your eye peeled for those kind of things. So package one, $300 to the $500, depending on what press you get. Second one, $2,000 to $3,500, and then the full time $7,000, anywhere to $15,000 to $20,000, I would say. Okay, back over to the chat, the chatteroni.
Exhumed Visions was actually looking at the same LED exposure unit about 20 minutes ago. Any experience with that model?
No, I don't have any experience with that particular model. It just happened to be an image that I grabbed up off of Amazon. But I would just go over and read the reviews. Hopefully there are reviews, and just kind of make your judgment based off of that. I mean, there's not a whole lot. I'll take that back. There are things that can go wrong. The vacuum, and then the light's not turning on. So, you get what you pay for. If you can find something that's secondhand, that is a more something from a more reputable vendor or screen printing equipment manufacturer, I'd go that route. But sometimes used stuff's just not available. All right, what else have we got there?
Eddie nails and needs a flash. What would you recommend?
I just would recommend anything that isn't the coil type of a flash, although those will work just fine. You're going to get a more consistent flash cure with an infrared panel. They do have quartz flashes. However, once you start talking about that, it gets pretty expensive. And I think the cheapest thing, quartz wise, is about $500 on eBay. But then you're buying, made overseas, Chinese, inexpensive stuff. So just use your best judgment.
Fun story about the flash, though.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember with Michelle?
Why? What happened?
Don't you remember? She was helping out in the shop, and she's tiny, so she was trying to get around Matt, and he was like flashing on the manual, and she just looks around and decides she doesn't want to go around to the other way, so she just ducks underneath the flash and just like pigeon walks underneath it, and I'm just like sitting there going, I can't scream because she might jump up, and and I was just like, and she pops back up and she looks at me, and I went, that was so dangerous.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, oh my god, I still think about that. I'm just like, oh.
I remember that. I was just like, well, god, she's not burnt. I guess she's all right.
It took everything I had, and I'll just scream while she was like in the middle of being underneath it, because I didn't want her to go, what's wrong, and then pop up and then burn her.
Yeah.
So I was like, and afterwards I was just like, bless you. And afterwards I was just like, Michelle, that was really, really dangerous. Don't do that. And then she was
don't
like,
do that
why?
again.
I'm like, the thing is at 600 degrees. And then I ended up showing her all your burns.
Yeah.
And she went, oh. I was like, yeah, don't do that again.
I wouldn't recommend it, that's for sure. Although that was pretty hilarious. I'm just like, yeah, good thing
for you. I had a heart attack just watching her just
I mean, don't get me wrong. I was concerned for her safety and everything. and for us not getting sued or anything like that, but
I think I don't know. Anyways, but that was a fun little thing that we got to experience with the Flash.
I want to read Jason's comment. I'm going to read his comment. Wait. Here it is. Woohoo! I'm a full timer. because the package thing that I put on there is a full timer. Yeah. Do you like that? You like that, Jason? Like corny names that I made up. Anyways,
How about
let's
you
see.
good to just gone with professional?
Yeah, the pro. Yeah, but that's not fun to say. Full timer, you professional,
Stop
you.
eating cough drops like while you're talking.
I'm not eating cough drops. My throat is killing me and my nose is running.
I can hear the cough drop.
I'm sure everybody can. That's why I took it
That's
out.
why I said stop. Do you know I've actually had to have a conversation about eating while he's on the phone?
So,
Anyways,
eating lunch and you're interrupting me. So there. Take that.
I'm not
Don't
sure-
hand me the phone if I got something in my mouth. You take it. Take the call.
It's your cell phone.
Well, don't answer the damn thing. I don't answer it.
Yes, you do. And then you go.
Yeah, that's because I know it's a telemarketer. At least I'm answering it.
You know they hate their jobs. Be nice
Well,
to them.
Why make
Okay,
everybody else
but,
miserable?
8-ball imaging. Yo, first off, buy the best you can afford.
There you
Hello.
go.
The impossible. Impossible! What's up? Good looking out on info, youngsters. Thank you, I think. If that was to us. Brian the Pothead says the heads love the shirts. Yay! I guess.
I remember, didn't he emailed the prints over, didn't he? What they look like?
Yeah.
They look good, man. You did a good job.
Printer recommended. Epson 14 something something.
Are we talking about film printer or
It just says printer.
are we talking about press? So a film printer, I mean, if you can find the Epson 1430,
Actually, aren't they kind of hard to find now?
yeah, they stopped making them, so you'll have to get one secondhand. The next thing would be an Epson P400.
We have two.
The thing is, they've been around for a while, so there's a lot of aftermarket support for them. The new Epson printers, there's not a whole lot of support just yet. They do have a few things out for it, but you're not going to see near as much on the market for like an all-black ink system with something newer. So, if you can score an Epson 1430 that's new, that'd be great. Or if you can get one that's like lightly used and doesn't have any issues, they're pretty easy to maintain. I've got another video I'm going to post up on how to clear the waste ink pads error. I recently did that and I recorded it, so I'm going to toss that up. Hopefully it helps out. But as far as press goes,
Oh, we can't be doing that right now.
there's a lot of good brands out there. There's Ranar, which we had a Ranar for quite some time. We currently have a tiny little M&R in the shop. There's Anatol that makes some great equipment as well. There's Ryonet. I've heard some mixed reviews on their Rileys, but they all do the same thing. They're all going to have different corks. So I would suggest going to, if possible, going to a ISS show or finding someone that has the press that you're interested in and see if they're cool enough to let you go in their shop and let you kind of just spin it and give it a test drive. So that would be my advice.
Okay, well, we've got a lot of people at least where I am in the chat, giving each other advice, stuff like that. Hi, Josh. Wade J chimed in. He's also interested in the conveyor dryer, and I want to take a side note tangent. I talked to a Wade several times this week, and I promised I would talk about him because he's interested in doing like work with us, and we actually made a promise to each other. The first time that he did his work, he'd send me a present, and I'd send him a present with the first time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so if you guys need some silver or not silver, but like metal etching type thing, hook me up. I can hook you up
Laser
with this-
etching.
whatever.
Right? Isn't it laser etching? I was asking.
He's gonna give me a Sailor Moon cup.
Yeah,
With
she Don't you bark at me. I was trying to confirm something.
Woof.
Sound like a prairie dog.
Then that's
Exactly.
that's a prairie.
So there that goes. Thank you, Shannon.
Yeah. Anyways, if you guys are interested in laser etching, I know a guy that does it, and he's pretty good. So I can give you his contact information. And by the way, I've seen several of you have already emailed me about this thing, and I apologize if anybody has emailed me since Friday of last week. I haven't looked at my email all day. I have 181 emails to go through for just to get over this weekend, but I didn't do that because I had a bad day and I was, kind of tired after, everything we went through today.
Thanks, Roz Al Ghul. We appreciate it. Watching from the Bahamas, he says. You guys are awesome.
I know that name.
Roz Al Ghul, that's from a movie, I recall. I can't think of off the top of my head what movie it's from. Roz Al Ghul. It'll come to me. I just don't know.
Let's see. Youngsters Clothing, what's the screen fee?
What is it?
What is our screen fee?
Ours is $20.
Mm-hmm.
And just in case to cover both sides of the question, it's the cost of creating a screen. Oh, thank you. Stover Customs.
Thanks, Stover.
Want to say thanks for all the info and vids, y'all. It's helped my shop get off the ground. We really appreciate that.
We really do. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very generous of you. And we really appreciate that, and we're glad they've helped. And again, you're more than welcome to contact us if you have any questions. And no, I am not always sick when I'm doing the lives. It's just, man, it's that time of the season. Thank you, Youngsters Clothing. I believe that.
Where are
said
you?
That? I don't even know anymore because I scrolled to the bottom.
Okay, well, Abdul Gutierrez, the wastewater from your washout booth, do we filter it and use it in the city drain?
Yeah. So for us, we have a homemade filtration system. If you want to go over and
he's got a video on it.
Yeah, I got a video on it. It's pretty expensive setup. It's basically a huge 43-gallon tub with a Home Depot bucket in the center with a AC filter. The AC filter filters out all the big stuff. The heavier sediment sinks to the bottom of that Lowe's or Home Depot bucket. It overflows out into the bigger one, which has a pump in it, and that pumps it down the city drain. Now,
but sometimes now you have to kick it.
Yeah, it needs a little bit of work. It's doing its job, but the float's not kicking on like it should. So sometimes it overflows. There's also an additive that you can put in the water if you have a bigger tank in which your water flows into. Let's say you happen to have a 55-gallon drum or something like that, and you let it fill up and then you empty it down the drain. Instead of having to buy a pump, you can just siphon it down a drain. And I forget what it's called, but it's a powder. I think it's made by ICC. I forget the name of it, but you can add it to the water and it will collect all the bad crap, and you can actually pull it out as dried, gathered stuff. It's pretty cool. I don't think our tank's big enough for that, but that'll help you get your water crystal clear. Crystal clear.
Okay, hi Jim. Prince K, does Photoshop have presets for registration marks?
No, actually, they might in the posts. I know Illustrator does. They're tiny registration marks, but I would just suggest making your own. There's softwares like Separation Studio that chunks them in there, but me personally, I prefer to make my own, so that way I can cater it to my own vision. My vision is excellent, but I mean those tiny ass little registration marks.
I'm
sometimes
legally blind, and I'm in control of quality.
Thank you, Shannon. But I like to have them just a little bit bigger. I like to have
Hold
them
on,
a
I'm
little bit.
freaking bored. You've been talking the whole time.
I like to make them a little bit bigger so I can see them. Okay, read some comments there, Shannon. Sorry.
Oh, now I'm just, bashful.
Bored.
Oh, shit, that's bashful. I drew a flower.
You want to hang that on the fridge?
We don't have any magnets.
We'll go get some. We'll go get some ABC magnets.
Joe starts with a B, not trying to pronounce it because I don't want to be insulting. Why does my ink wash out of the garment when I take it to the washer dryer? And backhand thing says it's not curing enough, which is correct.
Yep. You can do a little bit of a stretch test if it's cracking.
But don't do it immediately. Like, wait till, at least, is it molten lava hot?
Yeah, and I wouldn't stretch the crap out of it because then you can just
tiny little ones. Boop.
Your print will already be breaking up. Just test one of the shirts, give it a little bit of pull. If you see it start to come apart, then it's not cured enough.
Run it back through. N says he swears he's not ... special, and if that means that I have missed something from you, Jason, I apologize. By the way, his baby's very cute. I know we said that last time, but still.
Roz Al Ghul, he says, do you recommend RIP software? If so, which one? I do. I think it's absolutely a must-have in your shop, and I prefer AccuRip. I've been using them since about 2006, so good stuff. Never let me down. Never had any issues with them. Easy to use. Okay. Any other questions, Shannon? I just happened to grab that one while you're kind of going through.
Yeah, they're still talking about the undercured.
And
apparently, we've got some big fans of Cobra ink.
I'll have to give that a try. I haven't used that yet, but Jason says I love the CIS, in which I love ours as well. I mean, it saves so much money. We probably save about $1,200 a year on with just that CIS kit alone.
Hi, Oscar. Hey, Victor.
What's up, Oscar?
He's from Russia.
Oh, Victor. How you doing? Well, howdy from Texas. What's the weather like up there in Russia right now?
God, I had a fun way to bounce off it if you just had ended it on an awkward high note in your voice.
What?
I don't know. I could have played off of it if you had not just ended it with a high note on your voice.
There's a high note?
You ended it high. But if it had been, yeah, so.
Well, I don't know what you're
You ruined my two-part duo on that.
I don't know what you're getting after there.
Do you ever?
No. Let's see what else we got here, Dart. 1400s are a good one as well. I've had a 1400 before. I mean, they're very similar to the 1430. They take a lot of the same parts.
I'm not going to pronounce this one, but somebody says Mali in Africa. Hello. Hi.
Let's see.
I can't pronounce
Cheek
that.
HT Coulibaly. There, nailed it. Nailed it.
Tell him he's wrong.
You know I nailed that.
Oh, please tell me.
Man, dude, I am a cunning linguist.
You're just gross.
Does that mean something bad? I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about.
All right.
Wade J. So there's Wade, and Wade, if you could.
I think that's a different Wade though.
Here, no, it's not.
Oh, it is.
So Wade, I think I just crap. I think it was hidden, and then I tried to unhide it. Oh, there he goes. There he goes. Oh, it's still not showing it. What's Wade's email address, Shannon? Do you have it?
Not in front of me.
Okay. Email Shannon, and we'll look it up because it doesn't look like it's all showing up in the chat, and Or I can put it down in the link of the video. I'll have to gather. I got some information together and put in the link. But there you go. Just email Shannon. We'll try and get that email address to you. I don't think it's showing completely.
Oh, well, Knox, welcome back.
Or that might be it. Designs at, yeah. Okay. I just thought for some reason it was cutting it off. My bad. Yeah, for some reason I thought it was hiding it. Okay, cool. We use a filter system like you guys with a 100, 200 micron. Okay, cool. That's pretty awesome.
Brian said Shannon knew what a cunning linguist is. I saw her expression.
Knox Raven, been a minute since I got to see a stream. Love to see your faces. We appreciate that, Knox.
Okay, Knox actually does have a question. He bought a 6-station, 6-screen press from 365, which is a Chinese press. It is a horrible design, and what are your thoughts for a good starting press brand?
Some of the brands I listed a little earlier. There's a starting press brand. I mean, at 6-color, 6-station, you're either kind of all in or not. Like you said, you got the Chinese press. And those are, you know, excuse me. I probably have one more that's going to come out.
I always wait until the second one because there's always a second.
Sorry about that. So just to name off
sneezes,
a few.
Make the babies cry.
Ranar, Anatol. There's a Riley Hopkins. There's Workhorse. It's going to come down to flavor for you, but my experience thus far, presses I've put my hands on, we had a Ranar for a while, and then Anatol the Anatol Thunder is a really great one.
And here's something though, when you do actually decide on, as Matt says, your flavor, make sure that you're establishing a good connection and a relationship with your rep there, because that way you're not, they jump a little faster if, they actually recognize you. It goes the same as if you're buying shirts. The equipment people, the reps that you work with, as long as you're like putting FaceTime in with them, they'll be able to help you out a lot more than if you just randomly just send them an email.
Yeah, so establish a relationship with them. Kind of get not take them out to dinner or anything like that, but
I take Shannon out to dinner.
Just make them know that you're there and you're interested in their product and
just make sure they're a name that you remember, or that they remember, excuse me.
Yeah, how they treat you is a pretty big one as to whether or not, I mean, all things equal, they all do the same thing. They look different, they're different colors, and then the person behind it is going to give you any kind of customer support. If you have a question about making adjustments, you're not quite sure how responsive they are to your questions and all that. I think that's a pretty big one too. And buying a piece of equipment that essentially will last you a lifetime with a couple, maintenance pieces that will be needed here and there. That's something else to look into. Do they have a store where you can go online and readily just order these parts off of their store online to fix it? If not, how big of a pain in the butt is it to get a replacement knob that might break 6 years down the road, or whatever the case may be?
Well, Matthew's going with Vastex.
See, Vastex is a good one. I hadn't brought them up. I'm not the only thing I don't really like about the Vastex is how high their pallets are up off the arm. But I have seen demonstrations on it as to why that is. I guess I'm just so used to putting the shirt over the press arm. But again, Matt likes the Vastex. I think they make great equipment, and I know it'll work well for Matt. So that's awesome, dude.
Can't wait to see it. Whatever makes Matt not cuss as much.
Speaking of, I we're finished with this this live, we got to run some errands. Okay, looks like it's 8 o'clock. Let's see, we got someone else. Someone here from Brazil. Anatol will FaceTime with me anytime I need them. So there you go. Brian, Anatol, sounds like if they're FaceTiming you, that's some pretty awesome support. So you might want to check them out. Jason N says Vastech, Workhorse, Anatol, Antec. That's Antec's one. I'm glad you brought that up, Jason. Antec is I haven't used them firsthand, but I've heard a lot of great things. But there's a lot of them out there.
Michael Rios has a 6.8 Vastex on order.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Jason says he's jealous. Matthew says, look up Color Matrix. It's a supplier. TP says, hi, I'm late. No problem. Matt's always late to everything.
What are you talking about? I almost said the B word. I'm like, man, what are you talking about? I'm on time for a lot of stuff. Court dates. That's about it, really.
I want to counteract the argument, but I am still so hung up on the.
What are you talking about? Anyways, what's up, guys? Big fan of your channel. We appreciate that, Junior Brand Goods. We appreciate you tuning in. We are, however, about to get out of here. I think we've got to just about everyone's question, and
if we missed it, I'm sorry. I'm very tired.
I think it's awesome. Guys, don't forget to go over to. We do have a Facebook group in which it's not oversaturated with, you know, a lot of people that are keyboard warriors. So it is there for you to post, you know, your updates, your shop news, so to speak, and if you have questions as well. I'd like to get a little more foot traffic going there, even though I can't answer all the questions. It'd be cool to have a place to go, and aside from the print life, to see what everybody has been up to that is a fan of our channel. So go over and join our Facebook group. It's called Shop Talk, Screen Printing News, Q&A and News. I think that's how often I visit it. Forgot what the title was. Shop Talk, Screen Printing Q&A and News. So go over and check it out. Sign up. And
Thanks,
we'll make this a little bit more of a private Facebook group where it's not overrun by everybody that thinks they know everything. So, well, Shannon, do you want to leave with a joke of the day? I know you got a new one. I know there's one that we recently heard that was like, oh man, that's a good dad joke.
I don't really retain them anymore since you said they were stupid.
I didn't say they were stupid. I said you're
you used
stupid.
The word
I'm just kidding.
In any case, the word stupid was used, and I ex-nayed all shop gnome dad
You're
jokes.
so sensitive.
I'm a girl.
I don't want to hang out with your friend for 20 hours. Fine, well, we're not going.
Oh, we fought all weekend.
We didn't fight. You were just quiet and pouting. I had a great weekend. I went out and did some stuff and enjoyed some silence, and
you could have done that right here because I wasn't speaking to you.
No. I wanted to get out. I wanted to get out of the cave that is our house. Although I did come up here and do a few things. I started working on some things. But anyways, well, thanks. Just want to say thanks to everybody that's tuned in. Hopefully, that little presentation and just kind of rundown of everything at the beginning of this video was helpful. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. This video is helpful. Subscribe anyways, or I'm going to come after you. Give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment. It'll help get our videos in front of more viewers, and we shall see you guys next time. Shannon, do you want to say anything? meow.
Love you guys, hearts.
All right, we'll see y'all next time. Next Monday, Central Standard Time, 7 p.m. We'll see you then.
Thank you guys.